So did you get the agenda, Carl, or not?
I did, thank you.
Okay. Do you need one, Tom?
Yes.
Probably need a Robert's Rule of Order.
Well, I looked it up and it was like, because it's in a position. Well, it had to be brought up and I
Yeah.
didn't word it right. Once I read it, I was like, okay. You're appointed. But what I was confused with was when they elected you VP.
Yeah.
That was elected. That's where I got confused.
Thanks for making me big.
Trust me, I do it so I can type it.
Apparently I have to go for cataracts.
You
Anybody ever had that before?
Wow.
You know how to push that button, flip it around now, don't you?
I asked a big dog.
Yeah. And wait, you're smart enough to ask somebody,
Rachel.
you know?
Well, she said what the problem was last time was, the computer's been shutting off, so she said if I, came into that again to go hit the box. So we're just gonna go walk around
Wear me out.
just to make sure it's there.
Yeah. Enjoy it. Right.
Why are you?
What's going on?
Good.
Good.
What's going on? Look. We're early, but
Starting the meeting out, perfect.
Good.
It's working. Do you have an agenda?
I do.
I didn't see one on the board.
It was in my,
Thing on, yeah.
it's on our website.
Oh, is it on there?
It's on the county.
Thank you.
Where's your bride?
Yeah, so good.
Oh.
Alright. Thank you. We can share that.
Are you coming up under that?
I don't know. That's
I'll cry.
not your fault.
I think I might go. Did you want to chat with you? I guess you need one. I emailed you guys. Do
forgot to turn it on.
you need another agenda?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Where's Al?
You don't want me.
Welcome back, Convoy.
Thanks.
How long the daily has been talking?
We think that's some kind of a fancy coffee place in there.
Yeah, it's good coffee too.
Is it?
Absolutely. Same thing.
I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Maybe this is 5 minutes.
Yeah. I like changing that. Yeah. Yeah, we have to, give sitting there waiting, so I went after that Starbucks. When I had a gift card. from-
Happened 2 times. Last one. I'm saying it was 2 hours.
If you get it all seen,
Yes.
but you get one of those.
In a small cup. She said like $7 and something.
You better turn and hit this.
You didn't want to buy a 20 days.
Well, I don't want to send everybody's.
I know, I
$50,
get it.
You know.
It's been on my mind all day.
What, $10 for a small coffee?
No hard feelings,
I
just
go, I'll do
what
it.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I walk out, I never want to go eat them.
Like I said,
Like my. Oh, I'm gonna drink it.
He goes,
"Well, you can tell."
Thanks, dear.
But I see that's even more. So I was. I was going to talk to you.
Your signature on the last.
Then I have-
Your vote information. Thank you, dear.
Yeah.
There you go. You're welcome. Some beer.
Pardon?
So I have to sit up here so I can beer.
I don't know.
What do you want to do? Here?
Should have heard it.
fiction.
You won't say.
Yeah.
I'm sitting right there, getting ready for something. So,
Oh, that's when my hearing aids off.
I know, she doesn't.
ridiculous.
Not sure we can. Look and sound.
John, it's got money, I know these guys need bucks.
Handed it to him and he walked away. What happened? The hood? Well, you know, perhaps the printer might have just chewed it on the sideways when it came out. That should have.
That's what I thought was happening last night. I went down.
No, it has nothing to do with the pensioner. It's in our budget, so she said you. Commissioners have nothing to do with it.
It was interesting reading it. I don't see it for-
Really got it. Working out at the beach. Oh, goodness, I was in the water for so long, it was ridiculous. I got more sun than I wanted. Well, I wish I could. Yeah, like that. I used to be able to. But as soon as I get it, I lose it. I was darker a week ago.
When we were kids, we used to be out here all the time and I'd be real dark. Now I can't get dark.
Really?
I get burned. I burn.
Fortunately, I don't. I should look at the At one time.
I downloaded 3.5.
3.5.
That's what I had 3.6 at home, so.
Yeah, but you don't want it, that's what I saw the other
This
day.
morning.
3.5.
Actually,
What's going on, right?
Well,
Long.
I know, it's very.
I might for that trust.
yeah, right.
Can't blame you.
My brother.
And that's gonna be.
My dad was young.
That's awesome. We're gonna talk about how we're, what we're doing. For damage. We got thousands of it again. I mean, that's not something. That came out. I think that, that's. So why are we so high? We had two credits for rent.
Like this.
Yeah, go along, but it's road was really sensitive. He was in it. I don't know what it is about that. Yeah, and so we go for the principles. Well, Rachel. Oh, no, she's. Oh, thank you. Like. Yeah. They just got it. This one, this one out of three. Yeah, no, at night. I don't know, they were. Yeah.
You might hurt somebody up Yeah. No. But Monday. This ass.
What brought you up?
The end of the year, right? This is
Yeah. Very exact.
If you ride by your house every day. Yes. No, different. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, a couple of things. I'd like to welcome Tom Bush back. Thank you. And Angelina, the secretary, in order to take notes of the meeting, if anyone speaks during the meeting, could you state your name so that she can put that in the notes? I'll try and remember, but sometimes I forget, so. If you don't give your name, Angelina's gonna yell at you. Okay, yes.
This came up at the commissioners meeting last night. Kathy later.
Good job.
By the way, if people could speak a little louder and clearer, because especially those on TV or whatever, it doesn't come across.
Okay, we'll try. Okay, approval of minutes from the July 11th, 2023 meeting. Does anybody, everybody saw those online? Anybody got any questions?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from the July 11th meeting.
Sure, second. All in favor? Aye. And I've already introduced Tom, but he was reinstated by the commissioners to be on the park board, and we're happy to have him back. Discussion on the kayak project. Am I supposed to talk about that? or-
Yeah, he wanted it on the agenda.
Yeah. I don't know if everyone knows or not, but the park board is involved with the kayak project, and what it is we're trying to build kayak launch sites on the Yellow River. And we got $30,000 from the Starke County Tourist Board, I believe it's. And it was specifically for kayak. launch site. So we ended up making an agreement with the city. We gave them 15,000 of that money, and the city is going to do the one in White Oak Park. We thought that made more sense since they own that property already, and they thought they could raise additional funds to get that done, and so that's what happened. Now, the other one we're trying to get started right now and develop is at English Lake, okay? These are expensive projects because they also have to be ADA compliant. Some companies sent us, I don't know if everybody saw the videos of this company that makes these equipment for people that are handicapped to be able to get into the river and kayak. They're pretty interesting. I don't know how much they cost, but I'm sure they're very expensive. So anyway, at this time, we're going to have to try and raise more funds in order to start developing the kayak launch sites. So we're going to start with the English Lake site. I don't know if any of you are familiar with it, but it's out in English Lake, and I think it's already being used as a kayak launch site, but we just want to improve it and make it ADA compliant and develop it. So
Where's it at?
That site's important because it's the confluence of the Yellow and the Kankakee rivers.
Where's it? Is it at? that
Is it
level?
650 west, north of 300 of Toto Road?
It's not right there.
Yeah, it is actually just north of
I was gonna say, 'cause
that bridge, just north of English Lake.
This tall.
Well,
Maybe I'm not in the right spot.
probably it's farther down in the parking lot. Did you go into the parking lot? Okay, that's where that entrance would be.
I got detoured that way, so.
well, anyway, we're not in a position financially right now to do any work on it. But we had, Bob Lloyd did some planning for it and some, I don't know what you call it, some engineering and so forth. But so what we're looking for really is to raise some funds so that we can start on that project. So if anybody'd like to donate to that, or if you know of any organization that would like to donate to that, we would certainly appreciate it.
Dick, where's the other site? How many sites are there total?
Okay. Right now, there's White Oak Park, which the city is going to do. There's English Lake. And then Dr. Fritz is going to, I can talk to Marty Lucas. I'm gonna probably have to talk to him again, but a couple of years ago, Dr. Fritz agreed to give us a piece of land on USH there.
And 23.
In 23, and it's a nice piece of land. We went out and looked at it. There's room for parking and it'll be a nice site. The only problem is the river is about 30 feet below the land. So we'd have to do some excavating and get some work done that. So, and last time I talked to Marty, he was going to talk to Dr. Fritz and do the paperwork where Dr. Fritz was going to sell it to us for $1. We'd have that site.
Another site that was scoped was 1150 East, and that one is pretty much done. There won't be much necessary to be done there. A lot of people put their kayaks in there already. So that could be a minimum upgrade at that point, and that would be one of the cheaper sites, and that's farthest east in the county. So there would be that one, and then the 23, and then 700, and then West Ogan, and then English Lake. But there'd be an emergency. There was talk about an emergency pull off by 39 and 12 Mile Road.
So my question, I guess, would be, since we've got the one out there at 1100 that's somewhat established, and we've got the one at English Lake that they're already using, and then the city is going to be doing the Wythogan, the one at 8 and 23 seems to me like that would be the best one to start on, since that has no access right now anyway.
Well, that's a good point. However, the tourist board, they gave us the money, specifically wanted us to do Wythogan Park and English Lake
Okay,
first. That was one of the things they requested. When they gave us the money, so I think you need to stick with that and go with English Lake.
And also with the ADA entrances, you don't have to do those right away. You have to have them in your plan, especially if you don't have the resources to put them in. As long as they're in the plan, those can generally be accepted through the grant programs. And you're going to make those upgrades later on. So if we do smaller upgrades at English Lake and Wythogan Park, we can get them ready for those ADA entrances for later on.
okay. And what kind of cost, do we have an estimated cost for each of the sites or?
Bob Lloyd is putting those together.
I don't know, is he doing the costs?
He did the one at English Lake, it was like 25,000.
So we have 20 right now, because we had 15 from the tourist board, and then we had 5 from, that was the guy in
Hardesty.
Foundation gave us 5, and that was also earmarked specifically for pilot development sites, so we have 20 right now, so I would say we could probably, it's a little late this year, but we probably could get started maybe in the spring, once we.
I think once we get one site established and people see it, that'll pave the way for the other sites and make it easier to progress with the other sites.
Rich, doesn't that money have like a time limit too? Are we getting anywhere close to that or?
Well, we were, but because we made the deal with the city, I think that it's my understanding we have more time now to get protection done. Yes.
The one question we had was the permits are about to expire, so we suggested to Bob Lloyd to go ahead and renew all those permits.
Yeah.
So that we don't have to start all over again. So I believe that the last time we met, it was just he and Tracy and myself, that he was gonna move forward with it. Am I correct? Tracy?
Well, I haven't heard anything recently, but
But when we met, that's what he said he was gonna look
Right.
into.
Yeah, if you guys could check with him and make sure he's gonna get the permits. Okay, anything else on that?
Yes,
Yes.
how are we doing as far as coming up with an ad? For the radio station?
Oh,
we haven't done any of that yet
yeah. I think because of the-
until we, figure out what we're gonna do, exactly where and what we're gonna do. I can't kind of just throw it out there.
Well, we know we're gonna do English Lake, so. We may as well get started on it
Right,
now.
we've been just a little bit busy.
Yeah, we'll get on it. Yeah. Update on the pier project.
Okay, that's me.
Yes.
I just want to first and foremost stress how much appreciation I have for all of the people that came together and volunteered their time. Once we met that 18-day waiting list and we were given the permits and allowed to start putting the piers in, Steve Barrett's crew came. Unfortunately, it's like this everywhere. The crews didn't come to work. They needed rides, they needed fed, they didn't have equipment. So through the efforts of a lot of volunteers, Gary Lader, Megan Linda back there, Randy, Al, there's just so many people I need to thank, but it will take forever. That village is the reason that those piers got put in. And I know there was talk about, oh, why even bother this year? It's going to cost $5,000. But I felt this burning desire to, one, show face to our boaters who have been waiting patiently now that we were allowed to do it, and to get them in and to be able to say to Mr. Lyman, this is how it's supposed to look. It's not what you thought it was going to be. It looks beautiful out there. It was a lot of work, a lot of hard work. But the one nice thing is we went ahead and used the credits we had from 2022. We used $9,713 of that credit towards the boaters that are coming in this year. And I went ahead and billed $17,000 that we're going to bring in. So even if we paid $5,000 to have the piers put in, we're still putting that $12,000 in our coffer this year. Next year, if we get all our sites with a combination of the non-campers and campers, and now we're also letting them pay $200 to put their jet skis in, we're going to easily make $66,000 next year on our piers. So I think it was an effort that was worth it. And again, I can't thank everybody enough. I know there's been complaints about overtime, but if it weren't for all of us doing what we did, they wouldn't be where they are.
I think another thing to mention too is now we know 100%, we have all the equipment, we have all the hardware, we have everything in place.
And I forgot to
and
thank
it's all-
Tom Bush because he was in the water with these two.
And it's all in place and all of the piers have been repaired. There's been.
We're gonna have to
Yeah,
buy
for
some
that.
new brackets for the ones that we take out and
For
we
the
definitely,
hangers.
yeah, for the hangers. We need to get rid of those joist hangers. And we definitely need some wood to repair the docks because a lot of the boards are in really bad shape. But I think Tracy came up with, it's gonna cost like $350 for the boards we need. Gary's offered to volunteer cutting in and getting them on. So, I mean, that's something we have, maintenance on that is gonna be ongoing. We can't ignore it, and it's been ignored for a long time.
Well, I want to thank everyone that helped do that. I was out there shortly after they were installed and they looked really good. They were a lot better this year than last year. So, and hopefully they'll keep improving over the years. So thanks to everyone. Okay, the next thing I have is a request for superintendent salary increase.
Did you want Gary?
Yeah, wait, you missed a
Back up
spot.
on.
I missed.
Gary later wants to talk a little bit about
Oh, I'm
how
sorry.
we're gonna manage the peer situation.
Okay, I skipped right over that.
I know we probably can't do it this year. There's only 5 weeks left in the season, but we have to figure out, and it's a strong word, I know it. Some way to penalize the people that don't care about the piers. We've had people put their boats in the way they're not supposed to be. Angelina's been on the phone with them every day, talked to them 4 or 5 times. They don't come out to fix their boat. They don't care about it. They tell her yes on the phone. They never show up. And the piers are taking a beating from this. We've got one boat they tied up 3 times just this weekend. We've got one lady we called 4 days later. She says, well, did you take care of my boat? You called me that it was bad. Did you take it? We're not there at their beck and call and fixing these boats. And if we do fix them and something goes wrong, we're liable, or you're liable. We're volunteers. Maybe you can get with the lawyer. I don't know. Maybe you can surcharge them for the following year if they come back, and you got to remind these people, if it gets too bad, you'll have to request that they have shore stations. Every other pier for hire on the lake requires shore stations. So the piers don't take a beat. You got to have them at the harbor house. Can't have anything without a shore station. And I said, these people just don't care, and you don't see them. They don't answer their phones. Angelina's calling them every day. You want a phone number? You want us to let you know when something's wrong? You don't answer the phone. So maybe you can get with the lawyer. I don't know if you want to do it per episode, or maybe they got to pay a surcharge next year because they're damaging your piers this year,
Less
Less is going-
damaging him by tying him up to the pier.
While they tie them up to the piers, or they tie them so loose that every time the wind comes, they're just blowing them into the piers. And the augers don't go in right. One guy put his in with plastic PVC pipe. I mean, and you gotta remember, these piers aren't bolted down. All they do is set on these pipes. So every time they go into it, your piers, and it's gonna cost you more money in the long run to replace the piers.
To replace the
And-
boards, right?
Well, even the piers, if they crush, if they replace the wood, so. Maybe during the off season, before the next lease comes out, you can get together with them and figure out what you're gonna do. And you gotta make it so that, that they're gonna wanna fix it instead of doing something, whatever you do to them, whether it be surcharge or whatever. Because we've got people that aren't in there right now, and they've been in there for a month already, and they don't come and fix it. I had one couple, I took them over there, showed them 3 times, they haven't touched the boat in 2 weeks. So I don't know what else to do. You can't let them just run it the way they want to run it. It's gotta be run the way the park board wants to run.
I don't know, to me, I think one of the keys there is documentation. So if there is, significant damage done to the pier and it's witnessed, then we document that and let them know,
Well,
give them some official
see,
notice.
Well, that's good for just damage, but you gotta get them before they damage.
Well, we do, but
It seems to me what we need to do is talk to Graham about a contract again for people that want to rent piers. And I think what probably has to happen, and I think it wouldn't be too hard to police these people when they put their boat in. Isn't there somebody there when they bring their boat in?
Not always, because sometimes they just put them in on their own and we're gone.
They are assigned a slip.
But we need somebody that the police, that's.
Well, that's what we've been
Well, that's what
doing every
Gary-
single
I-
day.
That's kind of Cole Harbor Master.
He's been sending 10-hour days there.
Yeah.
And
We
then,
all have.
yeah, and then people will just come in and, you know, after work, and you come the next day and there's 2 boats in, you didn't know anything about.
Some do, but some don't. It's
Yeah.
usually the same ones.
We have all their names in the
Similar
press.
ones this year.
She calls and gets no response.
Well,
Or it's like, I'll get right there, or then they'll say, well, my brother's out there, can you meet him out there and can you re-auger my boat? Well, why can't you, it's not my responsibility to secure your boat. Oh, he's got a bad back. I'm like, I'm 67 years old, I'm not out here to fix your boat.
Repeatedly.
Repeatedly, yes. And it's taken a toll on the wood on our piers.
Well, I understand. Well, I think it's something we need to do legally with the contract. And there needs to be a harsh, if they're not gonna abide by the rules, they have to take the boat out.
Right, we are
Well,
not
there is
responsible.
a section in our current lease that says leasees default in the event the leasee shall fail to perform any of the promises, duties, or obligations agreed to in this agreement, and such failure shall continue for a period of 10 days after notice of such failure from the leaseor to the leasee. The leasee shall, in addition to all other rights and remedies provided by the law, have the right without further notice, without legal process, immediately to terminate the agreement and lease the slip. So, I mean,
What do you do?
but that's the whole thing. What do you do with the boat?
Yeah,
Well,
if they don't show up to take it out, what are you gonna do?
I would like to see.
Well, doesn't the
her
DNR handle that?
speak to
Because
pay-
if somebody
pay-
parked on my in-laws pier, parked their boat, the DNR would come
Talk
and
to
take care of
engineer,
it.
because that's changed a little bit.
Yeah, they don't.
That's changed.
They won't do that at all.
No, they say it's the sheriff's to do.
And
it.
now,
So
I have-
anybody can park anybody and a boat on anybody's pier.
well,
Well, I'm not saying they can't, but the DNR won't do anything about it.
DNR told me the other day when I was out there last Saturday, there was a couple of boats in our riparian area. He happened to be giving a ticket to one of our boaters. And I asked him, could he get the number for me and run it? And he said, I'm really not supposed to, but I'll do this. But then apparently when he called it in, he just said, here, write down our website. You have to send an email and request information as to who owns that boat, so you can contact them. I can't just call them and tell you. So,
That's not quite saying they won't do anything. It's we have to do a certain process.
well, they're now suggesting that we call the sheriff's office.
Well, what does the sheriff's office say?
Call the DNR.
report to everybody else. Sounds like they,
Trailers?
So do we have somebody that can secure those boats and then pay them?
What
And then charge
example
these
we've done
people?
this week is we've gotten with Les Jensen,
Yeah.
who put our piers in and out last year. I've been calling him. If there's a boat broken, I give him their phone number and they're doing the communication, whatever he wants to bill them, I don't care. Just get the boats secured and fixed. I mean, that's what his business is instead of us doing. And unfortunately, we're in the same situation with hardware as we were last year, that he ordered 6 augers and only 1 came in yesterday. So it's a combination of a whole lot of things that are variables in trying to get these boats.
So they told you to contact the sheriff. You know the officer's name who told you that?
Bryce.
First name's Bryce.
Is that because of that July 1st thing that they just put in?
And he did further explain that they still don't really know where their
That's cool.
rules have changed for their own selves. And so he didn't want to mislead me. And we said, from now on, just email the DNR and request identification of the boat number.
The other problem with that is it's a long, drawn out process to have this done.
And
Doesn't
the boat's
get-
gone.
Doesn't get done in days. You know, that's the problem.
And the damage can still be done on the dock. I mean, well, the ones on our dock, we know who they are for the most. part.
Yeah,
We've had some random.
because when we have people parking in there that weren't supposed to be in the open water, it took weeks to get the DNR to act on.
But they did act.
That one we had, that was the first one we had. That was back probably beginning of July.
Yeah.
My understanding, talking to the one DNR guy, is that they weren't gonna get involved in private disputes between your
Riparian.
around the lake.
Yeah.
If, they're still gonna deal with the permits for corporate folks like us. But they're not
Actually, what he
gonna
did
get
say at the
into
time
individual disputes.
Was,
So anybody can park anybody's pier.
He said-
he says, actually, what he said at the time, the DNR guy was, unless it's not ours to take over unless it's out 300 feet or more.
Or the
Well, that's,
sheriff
then that's the
has-
DNR's responsibility.
Who direct their boat out 300 feet?
Yeah.
Maybe we do just contact the DNR in writing and ask them what the role is.
What the policy is,
Well, that's a good idea.
but we need to get this done. I know it's not gonna happen this year. We need to get this done for next year, next contract. And
Because even the officers themselves didn't seem to be 100% clear. about the policy.
well, different officers, different stories.
That's what I'm saying, that way if we write them, maybe we get a short response.
How many, look at you, how many offenders do we have?
For hitting the pier,
Major
Maybe
offenders.
5.
up until today, before today, we probably had about 5. I know Les was working on 2 today, trying to scrap parts together, because he couldn't get them.
What's Les doing?
Les is a private contractor that I'm giving his phone number to these peer.
I understand, he puts augers in and ties them off. A lot of people just tie to the pier,
Okay,
even though they know they're not supposed to.
so he's going out and doing the work and he's collecting money from them to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, my suggestion is, people don't comply. But by the end of the year, don't let them back in next year.
Well, that was something else I think we need to consider, because we've got
Get back in.
offenders.
Make them.
If they know the rules, they should follow the rules, but they don't follow the rules. I mean, there's been plenty of people that wanna dock boats. It's not like, we're gonna lose money on
I like that idea.
Well,
it. If they don't respond, just tell them they're not coming back.
you're better off losing money by them not coming in and have to pay money for the damage they do.
Okay. Anything else we need to do?
Yeah, Rick Yolis, the DNR only does what they want to do, when they want to do it, and who you're talking to.
Yeah, I know.
Gary ended up putting the marker for the diving platform back in there. DNR dropped the thing off. And he ended up putting that in there. They told us they told the girls to take the ropes out of the swimming area. 3 or 4 weeks ago, all of a sudden they changed their mind, you could put them up. Now they don't want to police the boats.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know. It depends who you talk to and what they say, period.
But, I understand that, but still, we have to deal with this. And that's fine using less and getting it done, but I think the punishment should be if they're not gonna comply with what they're required to do, they're not gonna have a boat slip next year.
I agree. And I think we could get some verbiage in our lease if we get Justin to help us redo it. That speaks to that. If you don't comply, you'll either be asked to move your boat with no refund, or you'll risk not being allowed to dock it next year.
If they've been warned this year and they continue to do it, we need to pull our boats out and do it right now.
How do we do
Liability,
that?
we can't do that.
I
Who
can
pulls
do
their
what?
boat? Who
How do
pulls
you,
their
how do
boat
you pull
out?
their boat out?
We
Hire
have,
somebody.
Who are you gonna hire to jumpstart the? What do you call it? Hot wire it and get it out? Tow it out?
Tow them out.
what you'd have to do is get a hold of somebody like Portside and see if they're willing to do this for you.
Yeah.
Because they're the only ones we have, and see if you could set something up with them.
They're not gonna do that. What's your liability touching their boat?
Yeah, who knows?
I think that liability go away when they break the rules. Just like you talk about a car being towed off the road. Then, well, gee, if you touch my car, I'm gonna sue you. We'll go ahead and sue me. Do it.
I know, if it's a police tow, the damage is yours, the owner of the car.
I just don't know how much that would cost. You might check into that, Stu.
But if you had something like Portside would charge the person to get their boat.
Yes,
Well, it's like
absolutely.
we have a short station.
It should cost.
They should make money on it, Portside.
Absolutely.
Talk to Justin and see about if we can do that sort of thing. Okay,
All right.
see what our responsibilities are and everything. Anything else on that? Okay. Now we're down to the superintendent salary increase, right?
Well, it was brought up at the last meeting, talked about, it was tabled because there were only, 2 or 3 of you here.
Yeah.
Gonna be discussed and brought up at the August meeting. I did not go to the commissioners because there was no reason to, because it's already in our budget. I wasn't asking. So in February, we went to like the halfway mark. And then it was in the 6 month, a year mark. was to go up to what's in our budget, and that was what I was asking for.
I think that the council is taking care of most of this for us, because I believe that there's a 10%
Across
raise.
the board, we're not giving any individual
Right.
raises.
Right, so.
Right.
Currently, you're making 44,486.
42,775.
I was informed otherwise, so I need to check that out. The auditor. told
It's
me-
in, well, it's in the minutes.
Okay,
of
the
February.
auditor told me 44,486. The budgeted amount is 45,964.
Right.
Now, a 10% raise in the budget amount would make that $50,360.
That's for next year.
Right,
the
right, I
2024.
understand. I think we should pretty much just abide by what the council is doing. Now, we did say that your performance would have to do with, we did the halfway and then the other halfway. I don't have a problem with at January 1st, doing the second part of that halfway to get you up to your current budgeted amount and then get the 10%, so you're at the 50,360. I don't have a problem with that. That does not go above what is currently budgeted by the council. I think you've done a good job. And there's not much between where you are currently and the budgeted amount. So I think if we just say, let's go by what the council said and what they voted in, let's do that. And so she has the budgeted amount by the council.
Dick?
Yeah.
If I may also, I don't know if any of the board has checked the cash on hand lately or what you've been bringing in. Last year, at this year to date, you were at 198,000. It was less because of peers and other things that were going on last year, and there were some pretty heavy expenditures. This year, you're at 149. This would not be a good time either to be increasing any other things that are budgeted there. I mean, the county, because of the way your budget works, the county covers the shortfall, but technically the way it's it's supposed to spend what it takes in. It doesn't. It's not self-funded. So, and it's gonna be way far off this year. Obviously, a lot of.
Partly with some of that was the delay in the permit for the peers.
Yeah,
things like
yeah,
that.
I agree.
And the
That's what I'm
31
saying.
and the
Let's go with the
31,000
budget.
for the lift station.
So looking at, unless I read it wrong, we're about, right now, about 33,000 short from their budget. Thing, based on the receipts coming in. The receipts coming in was, I think, 189 or something like that.
Yeah, that might be right. I'm just saying, it's way off. Like
Yeah,
33
it's a lot of money. I'm not saying 33 ain't money, but that's the way I read it.
That's why I think we should just generally go with what the budgeted amount is that the council already voted on and go with that and have Tracy at the budgeted amount. And that would actually end up being 13% if you take that amount that's now and make that to the budgeted amount and then to that. So I think that's the fair way to do that, because we did say that we would base on her performance and things have been going well. So I don't have a problem with going with the budgeted amount that the county put in. This way, that amount will be going next year when the peers will be in all year and that revenue will be coming in. So I don't have a problem with that. And I would be willing to make a motion to have Tracy's salary starting January 1st be at the budgeted amount that the council voted on. So I will make that motion now, that on January 1st, we say Tracy's salary is at the budgeted amount that the council voted on.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Dick? Could I just make another comment too? I think the council thought that was pretty generous to give a 10%. I mean, that's unprecedented. We've never done that before. We're hoping it does happen, but I mean, there's a lot of offices that ask us for increases too. Right?
Surveyor that makes a lot less.
So I mean, it's, well, you guys know, you've all been involved with that.
Dave, are you saying that motion might not pass the council now on the raiser?
So what I'm saying is the council has already afforded a 10% raise across the board for all personnel.
So she getting a raise.
It's a done deal.
Okay, and when does that take effect? January 1st?
Just so everybody understands, we don't make changes in government mid-year. We budget, everything's budgeted. Doesn't matter if it's city, unless there's some kind of windfall money, but what we do is we have a salary ordinance. We start to redevelop it through the summer when we do budget workshops and we work on the budget. And that's when we decide what we're going to give. I mean, so everything works the year in advance, based on budgeting. So it's not that anybody's being mean, it's just that that's how we budget it.
Superintendent report.
Catholic Festival. I think turned out very, very well. We had a lot of rain on that Friday night, but it didn't deter us. You know, we went ahead and did our thing in water, but it worked. The only problem, the festival committee is supposed to donate some money to us, and we'll see what that is, but we put a lot of our own time and effort into it. All of the mowing and weed whacking and to make the place presentable. The festival committee had no one there to man it. Directing traffic, parking, setting up the vendors, emptying the garbage, they had no one. We had to pay for that out
Did
of.
they say ahead of time that they would do that?
Well, I understand, you know. I couldn't just say, well, you're just not gonna have your festival here, you know, the day before. But it didn't happen. We made it work, but I will not do it next year like that. I mean,
Is
it was
there a
kind
way
of
we
a,
can?
it's kind of a
next year we
learning
can do-
experience
maybe next
for
year we
us,
can
you
do an
know?
agreement? No, not something elaborate, but some kind of agreement with the festival committee to
Right.
make sure that they.
Cause we were nice enough to, you know, have a free gate that whole weekend. We lost a lot of money there. We profited nothing.
Did, actually, the commissioners asked me to also come to your board tonight. That is a county asset. So really, the commissioners should be approached, and there should be some kind of an MOU or a contract. Because we didn't get any revenue from like we were saying, either from like none of those vendors.
Car show.
And I'm not saying that the county doesn't want to donate, participate in things, but there was a lot of things going on there. It was a big cost to us. You know,
Now, like I said,
gravel and stuff like that, like they should have some.
She
kind of
claims that
agreement.
they're going to make a donation, you know, we can see what that is. If it's a couple $100, not worth it, you know.
So.
I
I'll
was-
stress
got
on
your
our
check.
staff.
I would say when they start their meetings, which they're doing now for next year, is that you go to one or two and say.
Well, we did, and we
Yeah.
thought we had it under
And well-
control, and then when it came down to it, it was, I don't have any.
As Dave was saying,
that.
In order to agree on it, they need to have some kind of agreement with the county, first of all with you, and then come to the commissioners and have the commissioners do that with the county lawyer to come up with that agreement. Like I said, it doesn't have to be anything elaborate, but something that protects the county. So something like this doesn't happen again.
Right, we need to like estimate what our expenses are that. they
What our
really
losses
shouldn't,
are, yeah.
Right.
that they
And like I
shouldn't.
said, you know, it was a learning experience. It was the first year that, you know,
Tracy?
we've kind of done that.
Calculator, Mary has a stack of envelopes with checks. I picked ours up for using our building yesterday, and it was like $200. So I think that might be what they're doing across the board to all the different.
And that wouldn't even have paid like 1.5 workers for that whole weekend, you know, I mean,
And yours might be
Just
more,
saying.
but like I said, they have a
Right.
building, the doors open, air conditioning. Well, you know what you can do.
Just
You
a
know, they
little
might-
coordination will make it easier next year.
Right.
So
Everybody-
basically, they use the beach and stuff like that, correct?
well, and they wanted us to get like all the cones and the markers and the road signs.
So why don't we
and,
do a
you
rental
know,
agreement with them? And just.
Well,
do it-
that's what, like I said,
So-
it was kind of a learning experience for us, you
Do it
know.
like a facility rental, have a set fee, that way if somebody else wants to do it down the road for the same thing, it's all set in stone. And they can come in, sign the contracts, pay a deposit, and then pay the balance the day of.
Commissioners are asking for that. I mean, if you rent the 4-H fairgrounds, other assets. you know,
Ball diamonds anywhere.
I was just gonna say that the city charges for things.
Yeah.
We just thought we'd see how it went, and, you know, we know now, you
Right.
know.
Well, the year before, when Brandy and I did it, it was, we were just told, this is what we do, we donate this back to the county because it's a county function. And it took another army to get through last year's festival, but I assumed, I know, challenge your assumption, that that's just what we as a county did. But if, in listening over that year and this year, I don't believe that. I mean, they made no donation to us last year.
Like Dave said, I mean, the county's willing to do things to coordinate with them, it just has to be written down and agreed on. So they don't have 5 or 6 vendors coming in, the festival and the vendors, you know, make money and the county actually is basically paying
It was
subsidizing.
nice and it was well attended, but our
Right.
staff were running around with maniacs.
Right.
It was nice. They were working their
Right.
butts.
And in our budget.
And our budget had to pay them.
So, that's what I'm saying, our budget.
I think what we need to do is garbage. Let's come up with how much it costs us to do that. And they're gonna have to pay that cost, because I mean. I don't necessarily want to make money off of this,
Right,
but I don't want to lose money either. So figure out what it costs us to let them do that. And then tell them that we're gonna charge them that next year. We're okay with that.
And I can get you some samples of some rental agreements, facility rental or something like that.
Like I said, everything's just kind of, my first year, it's just kind of, better next year, you know what you try to help and be lenient and. It's all in the books of, how to do.
Do you remember the
things
meetings
next
when
year.
they came in here and brought this to us? And I asked the lady about what's in it for us. Well, we do everything for you. It benefits all the county. And their pockets, not ours.
We had several meetings later with them and were promised this, that and the other, but.
If it's in writing, they
we
gotta sign
believe
it,
them,
be a
but-
little bit more than promise.
Would that MOU be with the commissioners or with the park board? Commissioners, right?
I think ultimately it's probably the commissioners because of the property ownership, but it would still be driven by your board. And your
Right,
board still has
right.
governance. But,
So we just need to work with Justin.
yeah,
The gate at the beach, we have decided, we're only gonna do Saturday and Sunday now. Completely losing our butts on that because, well, the weather's been hit and miss, number one. Most of all, the kids are going back to school now. It's not being, I can't pay somebody to sit there $110 and we make 30. So nobody will be at the gate now except on Saturdays and Sundays. Knox started school, the others, I think a lot of them are starting this week and it's just gonna, go on down the line, so.
I did.
Yes.
I also have something from the commissioners about the gate.
Okay.
So, we just recently went through an audit. One of the things that comes up in audit discussions are areas where we handle cash. Technically, from a state standpoint, they do not like handling cash at all because there's always an opportunity for something to happen, a mistake, whatever. And we have been asking for an audit report on the council side. But we're afraid that we're gonna get nailed if we get audited for a handwritten books. Without something electronic to back it up. When I spoke with the commissioners, they made a recommendation that we have a camera on the register. And a camera on the donation box, because if you are gonna stop the other nights, at least you got the donation box there, but it'll also help with security. Because if you have cash out there, somebody can get robbed or whatever, hopefully not, but you don't have armed security out there. So it's also for safety's sake, the cameras. And then you have internet out there, so I had, the commissioners have had people complaining that we stopped taking credit cards. I was.
We did because there were so many insufficient funds.
So you have,
for
because of
$5.
how you were swiping them, I think they'll maybe, right?
No.
We have internet out there. And what I talked to Mark about is that we have spare laptops that are retired. So like you could install a cash register app and you could put a swiper on a laptop, just have a permanent computer that's out there, keep better record of that. It's gonna have to have better record. And you also need to set a cash policy that it goes in the drawer immediately. Nobody puts cash in their pockets, things like that. Otherwise, we're gonna get nailed in a future audit.
Well, I had the state board in my office this winter and they showed me exactly how I was supposed to do it with receipts and that's the way I'm doing it right now is how those two ladies.
So I can
told me.
reiterate, the commissioners, all three are asking that there's either a cash register that you can run a tape at the end of the day. Or a software on a computer. We've also got retired desktop computers too. But we need to keep track of that. I mean, and because the public, when they see cash payment, they get concerned about that too. Howard Bailey brought up the possibility of maybe looking at a swipe card system down the road too. That way, if people just had an imprinted card, they could just, get in and out that way. Like maybe there are ways down the road to make it more cashless. There are cash apps that are getting more popular. I don't use them because I'm not young enough to really understand really well how to play all that kind of stuff, but. For the short term, the commissioners are making that request and I have other council members. I haven't spoken with them individually about that, but I mean, maybe you can voice whether you think that's a good idea or not. So if you're on, I think it's your.
Well, there's the handhold swipe cards
Yeah.
in most restaurants things now.
Well,
We can
but I
do
think
that.
you're talking about something different.
Howard was
Not,
thinking that way.
you're not
People-
talking a credit card.
People want to get in like after hours or whatever too. They have a card, you know, or whatever they, buy something. But also that too, like the handheld credit card systems are not expensive anymore either.
Well, we just got that, right?
We have had that. It's a swipe that goes into the computer, but I've beat a dead horse about needing a work phone. It would be dedicated. That
Right.
would have to
This
swipe
again.
on that.
You guys have good
Then you
internet
could
out
do-
there.
Then you
We're
could
not doing
do,
a phone.
I'm saying, then you can swipe it right there on
We're
the
not
internet.
doing a phone.
Well, then a computer, something.
Computers.
We can't leave our work computers sit there,
No.
so it would
That's
be,
why I
a-
said, yeah, retired.
Right.
Retired.
So we have the swipe machine. Okay,
Commissioners are not gonna put a phone. They have policies about that and I did mention.
and that's
I
fine.
was just gonna say, because that way we could use it for reservations for the campground. Boom, swipe it right there, do the reservations on that. We can use the computer for that as well.
Yes, you have great internet out there. Like, I don't even know why we're debating that. Like, you do have good internet. Everything that you can do on a phone, you can do on there. Probably no.
So who should they tell people about it?
Mark Gorley said he's kind of former IT guy. He's kind of techie. So he can probably.
We've got the card swiper, we just need the laptop. And
Between the IT guy,
Mike at PayGov said he would get us whatever software we needed for that computer. So I called him about that about a month ago.
And can we do that for next year? We've got like 3 weeks left.
I think you have 5 weeks, like your busiest.
Labor Day.
Busy, yeah, Labor Day is your busiest day of the year.
It's Saturday, Sunday.
Well, I don't know why.
From
they
now
need to
until
get
then.
Delays, we start working on it. I mean. Commissioner's Board is making a direct request.
Get it done now.
I don't understand
Why
why.
wait?
And again, it's not accusatory, it's just we have to cover our butts when it comes to accepting cash. The state does not like accepting cash.
So, and then there's an IT guy within the. County, and I'll coordinate that.
Swimming ropes, I think, Rick kind of hit on that, we were told to take them out last year anyway, they're back in now. As of, right before festival weekend, we got them back in because now the DNR, they didn't say we had to have them, but we wanted them in, so they are back in there. I guess this really isn't on there, but, it is my sincere regrets to say that Randy has decided to resign from the park board effective immediately this morning. He will no longer be working with us. He basically cut my right arm off this morning. He's getting older, the mowing, it's a lot. And I know all of you, all of these things you keep saying, do this, do that, do that. And I say we've been a little busy and people roll their eyes. Without Randy now, there's 3 of us. It's Angelina, me, and Bev is a volunteer pretty much. We're working 10 to 14 hours a day, 7 days a week. I had not had a day off till Sunday for a month. And that's still until 24 text messages, 5 phone calls. It is not possible for 3 of us to do this. Absolutely not. That campground and beach takes what, 12 to 15 hours to mow? And that's if you don't get off the mower one time.
Don't forget, there's bathrooms to be. cleaned
There's
and
weed
showers to be
whacking, there's
scrubbed,
push mowing,
Trash to be emptied. It's
reservations,
we need
pavilion
help.
rentals, parking the campers. Somebody needs to be there in the middle of the night if the water goes out, if the electric goes out. Unfortunately, I live right there, so guess who it is? The reason I have been putting in so many hours is to try to keep our budget down. I've had my family here 3 times. I have not been able to see them once, other than at night to say goodnight. We were budgeted last year for $10,000 for part-time help. We're in the hole about 20 grand on that right now, and that's with 4 of us. Don't think that we're out there putting in overtime because we want to be there and make money. That's not it at all. There are so many things that no one realizes what has to be done. And it can't be done by 3 of us. It was 4 and now we've lost another one.
I will agree, these girls work their butts off. All the volunteers and everybody. I mean, I talk to them all the time about being burnt out.
I am totally 100% burnout.
We're watching them day and night work. And I'm a side sitter over here, but they need help.
And I don't know where you get that help that,
Here, but you can't get on their equipment because you have to be a county employee now.
right,
So.
And I understand the liability of that, but they do need help. It's uncomfortable for us to watch, for me to watch them work day in, day out. So
and you don't just, go hire somebody from work one to be that person on call overnight if something happens. Who do you get for that?
Sounds like you need to hire somebody else.
But
It
who,
sounds like.
I'm just asking the board to really take a look at.
and we don't have the money to hire anybody else.
I understand, but without you guys, we're gonna be in a situation where we were before.
You're right, you are.
So I'm asking the board to open their eyes. The
We
amount
cannot
of work
continue to live and dream.
these first volunteers are doing for everybody. And it needs to be considered.
You get yelled at all the time.
This is Kathy Hempel. I really agree, you guys are gems, because without you guys, Kramer Beach wouldn't have we wouldn't have the things that we have now, because we had to deal with somebody besides you when you were not the superintendent, and we are very unfortunate to have somebody like that. You guys are really the top of the.
Thank you. Now this week, like Bev volunteers 30 to 40 hours a week. She's going on vacation. Randy quit. Guess who that leaves? Her and I.
We'll get her done, but it's.
We
gonna be
will get
tough.
it done, but
And last year I worked allotted hours and I donated the rest. I'm not doing that anymore.
You know how they do it at the state parks. We talked about that every other meeting for 8 years. They have a campground host, they get the camp free, and they take care of a lot of those things. So just an idea. to throw
We
out
lost
there.
that one.
he quit.
Yeah, I said before, I lived across that beach since 2001, and I've never seen it look that good as what it's looking right now. But I don't think anybody realizes, we talk about cameras, you talk about money. I was at that council meeting last night, you couldn't hear from here to there what they're even talking about. But as far as what's going on there, 6 o'clock in the morning, I'm sitting on my porch, I see somebody going up there, picking up cans, cleaning volunteers, picking up papers on it, they know who they are, they're in this room and there. 6:30, somebody's out there emptying the garbage, looking at it with a little trailer on their golf cart, and that, maybe at night they do the same thing. You see Tracy out there doing anything and everything, Angelina, she got a bathing suit on, she's in the water, she's doing this, she's putting this stuff on the pier, she's carrying stuff, all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
So wait a minute.
But what's going on behind the scenes there, I don't think anybody
I
can
don't
find.
think anybody realizes.
That beach wouldn't.
No,
function.
you don't.
It wouldn't function.
I would like all of you to come out there for 1 week and follow us, because I don't think you do know.
I'd like everybody to ride that mower from one end of the park to.
Right, that mower, one of the other reasons that it takes so long is because that mower is so little. Yeah, it does get in and out of certain places, but I mean, my mower at home is bigger than that and I have less than an acre. And it's very time consuming on a little
And there's no
40 inch or
suspension on
whatever.
that one either.
There's no suspension, it's just boom, 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 and all those roots and everything, I mean, I know we don't have anything, right now in the budget to do that, but. It's something we need to look for a bigger one. It would be less hours and stuff, but
And Tracy, how many hours did you guys do leaves last year?
And it's gonna be, right, and it's gonna be the same thing this year. I think it's not like you have to this year.
You have to force them, because you need to write equipment to be able to do their job.
Might be not a lot, but
I mean, it's change around, you need to write it. So,
It is in the budget next year, you know, for our part-time help. Money to significantly go up, and, you know, I don't think the council understood that at first, but I'm $20,000 in the hole and I still have to get through November or October, you know, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but I
The
can't
answer is more
continue,
help.
I cannot continue to do these hours
What did the
and
part-time
have my
help
life
go up to for
zero
next year? What was it is a number for next year for the part-time help? How much did
It was 10,000 and I asked for it to be put up to 30.
And that got,
It's still not.
did that get approved then, or?
Well, it's what's on there, yes.
30,000.
We can only go with what the board and Tracy approves. I mean, you know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, they-
All to see what every department needed and help them with their budget.
We kind of moved, you know, some things around out of different.
Have you searched any grants for bigger mowers or anything like that?
Once again,
I'm just saying. And I'm gonna tell you,
there's a lot of winter projects to be done, but you can't just stop and be in the office.
well,
for a
first of
week.
all, I'm gonna tell you, you said there's nobody in here that knows what we do. I do. I've done it for over 30 years, working 60, 70 hours a week. That's why I just retired last month, because I was tired of it. Okay, so if anybody does get what goes on in parks behind, I do. The thing is, we're sitting here and we've asked for a pay raise. We gave you a pay raise. We called an emergency meeting to give you another pay raise. Now we're asking for another pay raise. And I seen you say over there after the discussion that I'm out. Things have to be distributed evenly and fairly. I mean, we've got a park that was in terrible, terrible shape. That needed a lot of work and still needs a lot of work. Okay, and we have to do some sort of a balancing act with very little funds. Funds are limited because we're coming in right now and having to make these repairs. We've lost some income because of the boat slips for a while. I understand. But it can't be a hands out all the time. We've got to take
Did
some
you just
time.
say that I have 3 pay raises? Because I've had
I
one.
did not say you had 3 pay raises. I said, we gave you one, you asked for emergency meeting on another one, and now we're discussing it again. This has all been within a year. Okay? But there's equipment needs. I realize that. And there's ways to get equipment. I used to do a lot of stuff at home on my off time, trying to find ways to do that. And it can be done. I mean, I understand you put in a lot of hours. I get it. That's called park and recreation. And everybody loves the way things look. And at least you've got a group of people here that are willing to help you.
Can I make a comment, please?
Sure.
I'm Bruce Bennett. I'm one of the councilmen. A new councilman. I was a commissioner 30 years ago or 25 years ago when Starke County acquired the beach from the state. Now, I'm gonna tell you, you can thank Dave Pierman. We were quite generous, matching what, $520,000 for your renovation thing out there. So I want the people here, you taxpayers, to understand that we really, as a county, went out on the limb. And we're not saying we're not gonna work with you, but I just kind of sat back here thinking that perhaps the county is looking like the bad people, and we're not. And I just want to make that clear.
Kathy, later, when are you supposed to know about the grant? Because can't like a new lawnmower, some other stuff come out of that?
If the grant's already written, it's for something specific already. If it didn't
Oh,
include
okay.
that, it can't be changed to it.
Assuming that a lawnmower with suspension isn't very cheap. I paid 10 grand for a Kubota that does not have suspension. So like we're talking a pretty big chunk of money.
Well, I don't even know, you know, just something deck wise bigger that we can do things faster, you know, than.
You
I
have
don't
a utility
I don't
vehicle
even-
in your budget.
Pardon?
You have a utility vehicle that we added to the budget. Why not perhaps do with the mower rather than than the utility vehicle
For next year.
for next year.
You can also talk to the Convention and Visitors Bureau. Or whatever they call it here. I'm assuming it's probably the same thing.
CBC.
But all their revenue is based off of innkeeper's taxes and stuff like that. And it has to do with tourism, bringing stuff in here. And without the campground out there, we don't have a hotel. So the only source of revenue they get is the campers and stuff like that from out of Bass Lake Beach and the.
And the VLBOs at Bass Lake,
So I'm sure they'd be willing to put money in towards it.
We might be able to have the highway department quote it next year too. Because all we have to do is pay them time.
right?
For the grass mowing.
And what about the idea of giving a camper a free spot? If they work.
That's what we've done with
that
Randy.
with Randy.
Right.
We had that
But we can
approved,
offer that
but now it's to find that person that's there 24/7.
Somebody's gonna be there.
And that understands the ins and outs of that campground the way this gentleman does.
And it's willing to
Well,
put in
then
the hours. That's the big thing.
Right. I mean, most people are there on vacation to have a good time, not to work.
Should be out by the road. I mean, the first camper that they come in contact with should be the campground host. They drive in there and do whatever they want to do. They go dump, they do whatever they want to do.
They pay to dump.
We
We
need some.
charge for that.
Yeah, but sometimes you're not there. And we watch them pull in, dump and leave. With a campground host that's there all the time. That's not gonna happen.
And that's asking a lot too, 24/7 to, you know, be there at 9 o'clock at night if somebody wants to come down.
Yeah.
Do you want that job?
No.
I just retired too.
Excuses.
And we used to work 60, 70 hours every week and never sleep in our bed with our 2 days off.
I know the Washington Township trustee cured that. She found people's mail in there. Had the sheriff go over there. Quit.
Let's face it, Knox can't get anybody to work regularly.
Country came.
Nobody wants to work anymore.
But you can do it from your phone.
Well, can I just speak for a second from the county? We appreciate all the help and all the volunteers. I don't know if you guys realize this, like you're hearing these numbers, the county's paying for us to have a campground. We can turn that all into a park and have something for everybody in our county to enjoy, but we're willing to keep it a campground. So thank you for helping it, but because of you, we're able to keep it a campground. But if it gets too crazy, I mean, that would be the thing for us to do is make it a park.
And no revenue.
The Lime City has a nice park. Bass Lake would be nice, be 2 parks, yeah, I mean, it would be nice to have a park asset out there, you know, it wasn't, so that's how we stay alive, but we appreciate that. But
And then where would your revenue be for the other parks that?
Yeah.
I got a question for you, Gary, later. It's nice what you say, like she says, no revenue. You all knew when you took this over. It was the rebirth of the parks. It was gonna take money to get them up and it was gonna take time. There's gonna be rough years until you get up to the way it was when the state had it in good shape. And we all know that.
I don't know what we're debating, that's exactly what I'm saying, I'm not saying I have a problem with it, I'm just saying thank you, because if you didn't do it,
But
the council would not see this as something that.
there's a lot of times, so in every business, it always takes more money than you thought it would.
Okay, but this is taxpayer money. It's still
I understand that,
business,
but
so
if the campground goes and the boats go, there's zero there. You won't have to put any there.
I didn't say the boats, I thought we were talking about the problem with the camp.
Oh, I thought that's all considered one. Okay.
So has a county got a lot of revenue? They're giving the campground and a beach a lot of revenue?
No, well, right now, they've agreed to match the 575.
Right.
And get that grant.
Which hasn't took
The
place
rest of
yet.
it's from receipt.
But you also realize when you budget X amount of dollars and you don't make it there, the county has to make that up. So. I'm just saying, thank you, like, I'm just trying to explain that if we didn't have your help. We wouldn't be able to keep a campground there. Right now, the taxpayers are paying to keep a campground there.
The taxpayer, at least this year, last year I agree 100%. But this year, the 30,000 that you guys said you wanted to give it, that was tax dollars. And I know there's a difference between receipts.
I'm not gonna argue this one more time about tax dollars. The county owns that asset. That's our money. That's our revenue. So those are tax dollars. the tax people in Stark County own the asset. I don't know why I argue this all the time. Sorry, I'm just saying, I'm just trying to thank you for that, saying, you know, the county owns it, you know, and so.
The county couldn't buy a mower and make payments on it? I mean, just another option? Do they have to pay cash for it, buy it outright?
I kind of think the issue isn't just the mower, it's a bigger issue than that. We have to
Yeah, I mean, that's
get into.
one of the issues.
Yeah. And
You're looking at 10, 15 grand for the right mower for that campground.
I certainly agree, these two ladies are overlooked, they're overworked, there's no question about it.
And we're not looking for praise. That's not it. We're
No, I
looking
know.
for,
We're looking for help. But the finances are such that we can't go out and hire 10 people to do all these things.
So what is our option?
So we
To
just-
let it go or just
Right.
keep doing what we're doing to the point where we can't do a whole lot more?
No, I would suggest we at least take the direction from the board here where we're saying, go ahead and see if there is any other campers who want to be the host and then do that for.
I think that's a good solution.
Also,
Also,
if there isn't anyone, we ought to immediately go ahead and post the spot that's open. Start now. I mean, you might not get even.
here's the other thing, and I'll get
So
criticized. Here's the other thing, and I'll get criticized for saying this, but you can only do what you can do. If something has to get let go, it has to get let go.
But you all sit there wanting results. and
Yes,
want
we want
revenue.
of other things that we can't do because we're there and that's where the money is for all these other things.
I'm saying if you can't do it all. Prioritize what needs to be done and let things go. You got to, I mean, that's the only solution to see.
You can't let the yard go. You can't let the bathroom.
You can let some parts of the yard go.
And then we're right back to where we were when we started last fall.
I know.
Dig it back out again.
I know, and it's horrible.
So like, excuse me, if somebody takes their mower, and goes over there, they can't do that because if they want to volunteer to do where they can't, where the.
You can use your own equipment.
So then that's not a problem. So you don't have to be paid by the,
Only if you use our equipment.
so it's only if you use your equipment.
And you don't necessarily have to be paid. You can be
Well, I'm not
on the
even-
payroll as a volunteer. So you're covered by our insurance if there's any, correct? That's the way I understood it from Rachel.
I think.
Yes.
Got a question for you. I know this was done years ago. You can laugh me off when you say, is it possible to get inmate help?
Well, that's what we were talking about. Carl, like that, I think there's a rule against them actually riding along, right?
They can
use inmates and stuff.
They're no
I
different.
mean, we have had the inmates out there, so I don't want to upset the sheriff. He sent them out there.
I didn't know.
Yeah, no, it's a good point.
Even in the city parts. They can use like weed eaters, blowers, stuff like that, rakes.
I mean, even that would help, so they can't get out of mower.
They have been out there quite a bit, and I know Jack says all the time. Jack said that he's okay if they come out more, so that is a good
You
point.
basically pay for their lunch and they're there for the day.
Well, it's cheaper than hiring somebody else.
Yeah, the leaves is a good one.
These would be a big help.
They came out last year.
The leaves are horrible.
You're not gonna be. Well, we were told they couldn't use the leaf blowers. They could only use.
Or the
rake.
weed eater.
Yeah, but if they can do that, that's huge.
Yeah.
But it's, it still takes somebody to be there to babysit them,
They bring their own.
No, but we have to unlock this building, we have to get the equipment, we have to watch them, tell them where to go, stay off of this, stay off of that. So it is a babysitting job. Yeah, they do bring they bring their guy, but
I do have a question. With the roads that the county.
What's your name?
Sandra Reiniger. With the roads that the county put in, we're not gonna be able to burn leaves like we always have in the past.
Not on the road.
Is there any way that we can get, would the county come through with their vac, or do they even have one?
We don't have. City.
Including the-
They have a place out there to burn leaves.
No, 'cause they put the- Well, the roads are in there now, so we.
We should burn that. We could drive it, burn in the driveways. But it depends on where but then it's a matter of you've got to haul maybe a zillion pounds of leaves on a tarp to get them to the back. Where you're and that just, I'm out on that one.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah,
It's very expensive. Yes, incredibly expensive. Almost as much as snow plowing. Yes.
We were months.
Tree.
Yeah, we did.
By the way, when I was talking about volunteers and that, and when we first got in there and over a couple of years ago in the fall, the grass was this high and all that. That's where I met Dave. He was on a lawnmower out there cutting, so I know that's what it takes. In fact, I thought, I didn't know who he was or was, I came up to him and I said, oh, they hired you to cut this. He said, no, I volunteered. That's where I first met him. So he knows what to do out there and what goes on and how hard. And thank you for that.
And the leaves were still on the ground then too, so I had to move the leaves too. Poison ivy too.
I remember that day I first met him.
Okay, your statement after that was Randy needs a mower.
Yeah, that was.
And now we have. I do want to say one thing. Thank you, Randy, for the time you put in the last few years.
It's sad to leave, but it's time. Thank you.
Yeah. You're not giving up your spot, right?
No, that's paid for you. I like that all.
Wanted me to take him off payroll, I go. No way. Might be an emergency. I also like to thank Rick Yover here. Lives across the road for supplying us with all the flags. He put the big flag up with the light above it. He went over there today and put it down for half staff for the paramedic. We'll leave it like that for a while, but he did donate, what, 3, 4 flags on the buildings? 3.
Okay. I know we haven't solved all these problems, but I'm not sure we're going to tonight. Financial report.
I'll make a motion to accept the financial report that's presented.
For a second,
Second.
all in favor? Aye. We will claim and paying routine bills. Your motion,
I'll make a motion to accept to pay the bills and claims.
second. All in favor? Any other business come before the board? Don't inundate us now. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
What's your
Two
name?
things.
What's your
Terry
name?
Bowser.
Okay.
2 things. One is, and I'm probably wrong on this, but does the state or a financial body offer money for towns that have festivals? Now, they used to, I know, back about 5 years ago.
There are different types of recreational grants. I don't know all of them, but there are some different
festivals.
programs. Well, I don't know about festivals per se, but
Okay.
yes, that could be.
I mean,
Well, it's not our festival.
Right.
right, but it's in Starke County festival.
No, it's the
No.
Bass Lake Festival,
No, they're kind of like a.
Bass Lake.
They're private entities.
It's not a county
They
festival.
cover their own insurance.
They would not apply it. It's county.
Yeah, we'll deal with that.
And the other point, I've taken my own back out there for 3 years in a row and back leaves. And I think you're probably gonna end up having to do that because you can't burn them next to the campers in their driveways.
Right.
You can't burn them in the road. So you might wanna think about that in the next, because they're coming. You know, they're gonna come down this year just like they have.
I bought a full-time back for my yard lot 2 years ago. It was $1,400. Hold behind a tractor, does a great job.
Sell it to.
Probably not behind the tractor.
But it's an option.
They're worth their weight in gold.
Instead of waiting in the last minute. I picked mine up used.
What do you do when you vacuum?
You put them out, well,
Well, we have that whole back where we could
we
burn
have
it.
that place in the back that they put them back there. And I back up my blower and I pull them out. Pull it in and go get another load.
We put them on, we have a stone driveway, so we pour them in the driveway and burn them in the driveway.
How big is it?
But We hold up for you.
I don't know how big it's gonna look that.
Go leave back, go leave back there with a cookie for and stuff. So you're basically back there. Close it right back.
What's your name, ma'am? I'm sorry?
I was waiting for them to finish.
Oh, okay.
Tracy King,
Okay, Tracy.
I am the author. I think you guys received a letter
Yes, we
last
did.
month or so. I've heard it may have made the rounds. So, my husband Rob Tetzlaff. I really don't want to be talking here, but, I want to camp at Bass Lake. We're on site 43. This is our first year. Rob's from here, born and raised, Starke County. We love coming down here, visiting his friends, going to the restaurants. We're having a good time. If you're in the campground and you see a black truck with the 2 big kayaks on the top, that's us. We drive around a lot, so. I just, couple things in particular, I guess, in relation to the new rules about dog leashes. I wonder if that can be up for discussion. I don't know if anyone else here is in support of a little more freedom for the dog. We put up a fence right before the last board meeting. We had seen that another site had a small fence, and we thought that's a good idea for our dog. And then the next board meeting, which we didn't know that board meetings existed, so now we do. I'm told that a rule was made to say no fences. So.
Right.
Okay, so I get it, but I don't know what discussion was had in that meeting and if there was, dog people here or not. I'm not.
So was it one person that just came out and made this happen?
No, it was not one person, so these guys can stop.
I don't think that was, we didn't make a rule, that rule was already there.
That's right, it's state law.
It's a state law that they have to be on a leash.
Okay, so so I camped, last year we camped at many state parks, the Potato Creek and the Chain of Lakes. And are you saying leashes only? Or are you saying tie outs are not allowed?
My understanding, you have to keep your dog under control at all times and it has to be on a leash. How long?
The state park rules that-
Big place, state law is big.
Okay, so every campground state park that we go to, we use the tie out. We always make sure it's short enough that it stays within
I
our
understand.
lot and that they can't run out into the road or into someone else's site. And we have never been told but at the state park to say you can't use a leash like that. So for me, I don't have to have the fence, that's fine. But to have my dog on a leash in my hand every time when I let them out, I mean, it's not convenient at all. People who camp have dogs, like over 50% of people who go camping take their dogs with them. So I don't know if anyone else wants to speak up to that also, but and I also am gonna say, and I don't want to talk about this because it's very awkward, but since we've moved into our site, we felt like everything we are doing is wrong. We have Angelina and Tracy having to come to us, very polite, very professional, and say, you can't leave your little bag of dog poop on the ground. Someone picked up our little bag of dog poop that we left when we went to rent an errand and sat on the steps of our camper. That's inappropriate. Like what? I don't know who did it or why they did it, but we're new, okay? I didn't know. I've done that at every other campground I go to. We set the poop bags and then when we go to the trash dumps, we pick them up and take them with us. Sitting there all day, I don't know what the big deal is, but that's one example. There's other ones. We had confusion on where we were allowed to park, and then we were 3 feet off the line, and we had to take our camper to get our awning repaired, and we brought it back, and we're right on the line now, and I'm afraid somebody's gonna be mad and complain about that next. So
No,
I don't.
No, I don't have a problem.
I don't have a problem. It's on your site. You do what you want.
As long as we're on your state, I didn't have a problem the first time we talked about that.
Understand what we did. We're not loud, we're not rowdy, we don't play music. Why are we getting everything we do? We're afraid to do it. We're afraid to leave a cardboard box in our yard that we want to throw in the fire that night because somebody's gonna, I don't know, pick it up and throw it on our step. I don't know. And maybe I'm just being crazy, but it's just, it's just been very uncomfortable, okay? I'm not trying to get anyone in trouble. I don't want to get in trouble. We love going there and camping. I don't want to leave, okay? I want to stay and camp there. We enjoy it. We want to stay, but I just feel very uncomfortable every time we're there. And the other thing I said in the letter, it's not just us. People have come to us and said, you should tell the board that you're terrified of this, of my neighbor. I'm not terrified of my neighbor.
Did we not welcome you when you first come there? We talked to you, we sent you on different fishing areas.
I don't want
put this on. I'm out of here.
All right.
to go.
All I can tell you is, the board did pass no fences, okay? And you're gonna have to keep a dog on a leash. Okay?
What about the length of the leashes? The thing they want to know about the leash.
Let's talk about state parks, because we camp all the time, and we have a 12-year-old dog that is on a lead. Lead is within our campground, our site.
What are you talking about? Something in the ground?
Yeah.
And they're-
It's other.
we got tied to our
Tether.
post. But yeah, you can put a tether as long as, and if I am legally leased in this spot for a season and my dog is staying on there, that should be okay. Because my dog doesn't bother anybody else. It doesn't go on anybody else's site. My dog actually doesn't bark because he's so old, but he cannot be on a 6-foot leash for 3 days. He likes to lay in the grass, roll in the grass, relax and sunbathe, which he can do on a lead that keeps him within the boundaries of the property that I am leasing. I have a lease with you guys that I should be able to keep my dog within that. Now, I would have a problem if somebody's dog was constantly going on to my property or my dog going on to their property. That would be inappropriate. So long as I'm in a legal lease, my dog should be able to be on that much of a lead to where he stays within that boundary. And that is on a state campground. There's not a single state campground that's ever giving me an issue with the lead.
We want to.
You've never had to leave either.
But it is inhumane to keep a dog on a 6-foot leash for 3 days.
Maybe keep it a few feet off the road.
Well,
As long as he's within the boundaries, he should be fine.
We can't go to the boundary.
Within.
I think what it says is we talk about having the attorney amend the current lease to prohibit tethering of unattended dogs. No leashes longer than 6 feet and no fences allowed for dogs to run free. That's what we said.
That's tethered, unintended dogs. So
Unattended
somebody's
dog.
there and the dog's.
You can't have an unintended tethered dog.
Right.
Well, if you tethered it and took off to the beach and left it, would be an
Okay.
unattended tethered
So you
dog.
have to be on the site.
I
Yeah.
understand.
You have to be on the side with the dog.
So he can be on the tether
According to what
on
we
your
voted on.
property. Is that clarification?
Yeah, as long as he's attended,
Perfect.
okay?
Then I'm
As
good.
long as you're there.
Yeah,
Perfect.
as long as you're there. Okay, anything else anybody wants to throw at us? Been a long night, I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for coming.